I lost my nana earlier today. Found her again. She was dead. She didn't look exactly as I'd imagined her, or indeed as I remembered her, or was familiar with. Her teeth were clenched, her eyes were bulging, her face was bright red and tinged with sort of a purpley blue. Wasn't the worst moment of that experience of finding her. As I walked up to her and clutched her ever stiffening corpse, and I felt her final breath just on my cheek. And as I felt that, a little baby ghost popped out. A little baby ghost. And baby ghosts, when they're first born, they're extremely cold. So they look for the nearest warm orifice to jump into. Not the mouth. Not the mouth, because baby ghosts, when they're first born, their sheaths are very delicate. So the sheaths get torn on the teeth. So up it went. I now find myself haunted by the ghost of my paternal grandmother in my arsehole. There's only one way to rid yourself of a ghost that is residing in your colon. Is I've asked around. There's no definite sort of agreed way. If anything, there's one way, and it involves, as the local share people will testify to. You need to find a toilet or an area of your choosing, which this is going to be. This is going to have to be this. Get your favourite book, and thirdly, utter the chant "Baba Booey" over and over. It helps if there's a crowd. So it'll disorientate the baby ghost. You should be able to set it free from your colon. I was just wondering now if you'd like to join me in the exorcism of the ghost of my paternal grandmother from my ass. Just give me a moment to get settled. No, please not. Baba Booey! Baba Booey! Yes, come on, join it. Baba Booey! Baba Booey! Baba Booey! Baba Booey! Baba! Baba! Baba Booey! Baba! Baba! See you later, Nana. Hope you enjoy heaven. Say hello to Grandad for me. I feel like I need to address the elephant in the room. I'm just getting over quite a severe cold, influenza, chest infection. One thing led to another. So I'm quite hoarse. I'm quite throaty. I don't know if anyone's noticed. There's obviously it's not all bad. The upside to this, I've found that I can now sing note perfect in the style of a certain Mr. Michael Bolton. Got any fans in tonight? Yes, we've got lots. You too, sir. Great stuff. His entire catalogue, superb. Well, you're going to be in for a treat. I don't have any. This isn't mine. I don't know what this is. I'm not going to play. I'm not going to try and play any tricks on you or anything. But if you'd like to close your eyes, I'll treat you to a couple of bars. Eyes closed.
bars are wrapped all around me. I've been your prisoner since the day you found me.
Eyes open. It's still me. Just rolled off the tongue. Bees are to snakes. Bees to snakes. As moths are to what? Bees to snakes. Moths to. Use at the back. Bees to snakes. Moths to. Don't know. You sir? Bee, snake, moth. Eel! Eel! Eels! Yeah. Got there in the end. Didn't think it was going to come out, but it just popped out right at the end. Shall we have ourselves a seance? Yeah, does it feel about that time? Is it a seance time? Yeah, okay. Just get the equipment ready. Excuse the that. No, you're okay with it? Fine. Let's see what crazy souls are out there. See who wants to speak to me, through me, to you. Nearly let the clue away there. Could be anyone. Could be anyone. Who knows? Who knows? I don't choose. They choose me. Okay. This set, otherwise we will be in gravy. Abbonavri. Abbonavri! Abbonavri! Enterador!
Oh, spirits! Speak through me to these good people. Let yourself be known. Be known. Anybody?
Hello? Hello? Hello, you called? How can I help you, son? Sorry, it's a little bit misty up here. Who am I speaking to? It's me, mate, David Bowie. Oh, Mr. Bowie, it doesn't sound like. Listen, mate, I'm using you as a conduit, and it sounds like you're just getting over a bit of a cold, bit of a flu, chest infection. It's a bit rough. Here I am. All you want? How can I help you? Well, Mr. Bowie, pleasure to speak to you and for you to speak through me to these good people. You've thrown me a little bit. What have you been up to, Mr. Bowie? I've been looking for dead children, mate. Again, not really expect. How's that going, Mr. Bowie?
There's a boy trapped in a well.
How can you tell?
It's mainly the smell.
Okay. It's not really what I had in mind. I was just wondering if you could possibly, using me as a conduit, sing a couple of your, sing something to these good people. I thought you'd never ask, mate. This is what they always ask me for. Right, give me a moment. In your own good time, Mr. Bowie.
Steel bars are wrapped all around me. I've been your prisoner till the day you found me.
Mr. Bowie, fantastic. Listen, mate, I've got to go. Your nana's up here. She's right round the old car, and I've got to give Prince a bit of a hand with his allotment. Toodaloo! I'd like to introduce you to the stage. No, I wouldn't. I'd like to introduce you to Dominic Harris Jr., who will be coming up onto the stage. Please be silent for his arrival.
Just quickly, I'd just like to read a quick poem to you. It's a poem called Balloons. It's about balloons. Balloons are like kites, but for beginners. Discuss. So serial killers. What's that all about? Stay with me on this, right? But do you reckon serial killers get upset if they go to the effort of murdering loads of people and end up with a shitty nickname? You've got like Jack the Ripper, the Boston Strangler, the Zodiac Killer. They sound like some pretty bad dudes or professional wrestlers from the 80s. But if you look at the Wikipedia page, which lists serial killers by a number of victims, and I keep a hard copy because it's the best page on the internet, you'll see, for example, there's an Iranian serial killer called Ali Ashgar who had 33 confirmed victims, which puts him right amongst the all-time best serial killers. And he was known as Ashgar the Murderer. He's probably pretty disappointed with that. And then there's another guy on here, Moses Sittor, who had 38 confirmed victims, a South African serial killer. So he's even better at it. And for those crimes, he was convicted to 2,410 years in prison. And he's known as the South African Ted Bundy. Which is particularly galling for him, because if you look, he's actually 3 places above Ted Bundy on the list. And it seems to me that 2,410 years is a long time to spend both in solitary confinement and in the shadow of an ultimately less prolific serial killer. But then if you think about what we know about serial killers, the psychology behind it, maybe there's something in this. Are you really going to go to the effort of murdering loads of people if you're just going to be known as Stabby Keith? Probably not. Have you ever found euphemisms don't really work backwards? So, for example, in order to be polite, instead of saying I'm going for a shit, people might say, oh, I'm just dropping the kids off at the pool. So like the toilet bowl representing the pool and each individual turd a metaphorical child, yeah. But if instead you're going swimming, taking your kids swimming, you say, I'm just going for a shit. People just think you're going for a shit. I wonder why you're wearing armbands. But I thought I'd experiment with reverse euphemisms for a while, just see what happens. And I was on a date with a woman, and it's going quite well, right until she asked me what my hobbies were. I said, well, other than going to the leisure centre for a nice early morning relaxing shit, I quite like canoe, kayaking, jet skis, things that come under the umbrella term of water sports. But when I explained that in the guise of a reverse euphemism and said, oh, I get sexually aroused when women piss all over me, date seemed to take a turn for the worse for some reason. And that's not the weirdest thing that happened. I was talking to my milkman, who just so happens to be a former pirate. And as many pirates do, he sustained quite a serious eye injury. If there's one thing we can say about pirates, it's they're not taking health and safety legislation seriously enough. And I'd just negotiated a better price for my milk, and to conclude that deal, we shook hands. So in that moment, I was quite literally shaking hands with the one-eyed milkman. But unfortunately for me, it was that exact moment when the social worker rang. It said, sorry, a bit busy in the driveway having a wank. Can I call you back when I get in the house? And she seemed to think it necessary to explain as this kind of behaviour, which meant I could only see my kids at supervised trips to the swimming baths. Don't worry, I don't really have any kids. No, not anymore. It's not, I don't have any kids. The other thing that's not true about that story is I don't like milk. Which is quite useful. I don't know if you've ever had that drama where you share a flat or an office. It's like, oh, someone's had my milk, who's had my milk? Well, I was never a suspect, so if I was ever bored, I'd just go into the kitchen at night and start pouring milk down the sink. Skimmed, semi-skimmed almonds, couldn't give a fuck. And then I'd just sit there the next morning, drinking my black coffee, eating cereal dry out the box. Just wait for that drama to unfold. I'd say milk's probably my third least favourite thing in the world. Top of the list is actually butter and knives. Two things I've got a slightly irrational fear of. I'd say the knives less rational than the butter, if I'm being honest. But when I tell people that, they go, oh well, you must be really scared of butter knives. And I say, well no, because they possess neither the sharpness of knives or the butteriness of butter. They are powerless against me. What you're thinking of is a big machete that's been covered in butter. But then I think pretty much anyone will find that scary. If there's just someone stood at the end of your driveway rubbing butter into a machete, you'd be like, Jesus, what's the butter for? And why are you wearing armbands? Well, all the good nicknames are already taken. Yeah, don't like butter. I do like the new pound coin we've got. I don't know about anyone else. It's like a slightly edgier version of the euro. But I remember just before it came in, I took my gran shopping and said thank you. So you can have the pound from the trolley. I was like, oh no, I'm not taking money for pension, you can have it. And she said, well, it's going to be useless for you, so you might as well. And then she said, and I'll never forget it, she said, Dom, if they can make new money, why don't they just make loads of it, give it to everybody, and then everyone can be rich? Which is a nice thought, but I don't know if you ever tried to explain the macroeconomic impacts of rampant inflation to an 83-year-old Italian woman who received very little formal education in the 1940s. But I said, well, Nan, the quantity theory of money states that as money is a commodity, any increase in the money supply will result in a corresponding increase in prices, and ultimately living standards would remain unchanged. And then she said, and I'll never forget this, she said, Dom, while it may be true in the long run, the Keynesian argument states that doesn't take into account the decrease in which the money would circulate or the inherent stickiness of prices. So you could in fact argue that it might be a worthwhile policy to stimulate aggregate demand through increased consumer consumption, particularly given the Bank of England's policy of quantitative easing, which has a similar inflationary effect. So I kept the pound. That's what you get for non-splaining. Please welcome back John Paul McQue. Clap if you want.
What's in the bag? Well, for those of you who don't know, which is all of you, this is my bag of wind. We've known each other for quite some time now. Well, I'd say getting on nearly 4 months. 4 months, what are we on now? Yeah, 4 months. I still remember to this day, today, the very first time that we met. It was in the shop doorway of the local newsagent. You won't be familiar with it. It's in Middlesbrough. Called Riley's. Anyone? No, I said you wouldn't be familiar with it. Felt like you pushed me for more clarification. Around and round he went in the shop doorway. Beautiful. I could not take my eyes off him. A decadent dance of mystery and illusion. Beautiful. Not everybody was as impressed as me. A little bit of jealousy crept in, I think. And there was a packet of salt and vinegar hula hoops trying to take him down. So the red packet. Up he went. Whoa! Up he went. Wasn't going to take him down. That wasn't the end of it. There was a salt and vinegar packet of discos. You know, the metallic green, metallic blue packet. Outnumbered. I ran up and said, "Stop! Leave me alone!" Grabbed all of his handles and ran all the way home. Went into my back door, into the kitchen, put him straight into the sink. Hot tap. Hot, too hot. Cold, put the cold. We've actually got a mixer tap. So we've got a nice optimum temperature. A little bit of fairy washing up liquid in there, and a little bit on the sponge, and a little rag, and I brushed away these little indentations and scrapes that he picked up along the way. With every wipe of the cloth, he sat in the bowl and shuddered with glee. And it was at that moment I realised that we were going to be such good friends. I said, "Bag of wind, we are going to be such good friends. We've been through so much in such a short amount of time. What should I call you, Bag of wind? What should I call you?" He looked up at me. I remember as if it was yesterday, and he said, which I took to mean, us wind people, we don't require the same labels as you. We don't live by the same constraints. The very fact you called me Bag of Wind, hey, that be my name. I tied his handles to this stick that you see here today. It was a beautiful day, not a cloud in the sky, and we made our way to the beach, or Redcar Beach. You might be familiar, maybe not, but beautiful. Walking along the coastline, and up ahead in the distance, just on the horizon, a group of children struggling to get their kite off the ground. I looked at him, he looked at me. Go on, Off he went, off in the distance. Up that kite soared, right up into the sky. He'd made their day. They were overjoyed. Couldn't believe it. He came back all full of himself. Yeah, I know. It was getting late by that time though. We started the long journey home through the intricate streets. Some new, some old, cobbled, some windows open, some closed. One window in particular had 4 red hot pies on the windowsill, just waiting to cool. Is anyone trying to eat a red hot pie straight out of the oven? It's not advised. It's not advised. But we looked at each other. We didn't know what to do. He went away, cooled those pies down just to an optimum temperature. We had a cheeky little nibble. I don't know whether it was illegal or, you know, I wasn't really thinking of the legalities of the situation. I was just caught in the moment. But that day made such an impact on me that I wrote a song that I'd like to share with you. If you just bear with me, I've got a guitar that I can get out. If you give me a second. Oh, bag of wind, oh, bag of wind, you are my friend, you are my bag of wind. I still remember the first day we met. You were in the shop doorway of a newsagent's, dancing so majestically. Round and round you went. Not everyone was impressed as me. Some jealousy crept in. Ready solid pack of hula hoops tried to take you down. You weren't gonna go for it. You spun right around and way back up. This didn't last too long. A packet of some vinegar crisps, discos, metallic blue, metallic green, try to take you down. You were outnumbered. I said stop, leave him alone, leave him alone. I grabbed your handles and ran all the way home. Went in the back door of my kitchen, put you in that sink. Hot water, it was too hot, put a bit of cold water in. We got a mixer tab. We got an up in temperature going on. A little bit of fairy washing up liquid and a cloth. With every stroke of that cloth, you shuddered with glee. I said, bag of wind, we're gonna be friends for such a long time. What should I call you? You looked at me and you said, which I took to mean us wind people, we don't live by the same rules as you. We don't require labels. The very fact that you call me bag of wind, well, that's my name. I tied your handles to a stick and we went to the beach. It was a beautiful day, not a cloud in the sky. Kids on the horizon struggling to fly their kites. Off you went. Up that kite soared, oh so very high, right up to the sky. Oh, bag of wind, you are. Nearly forgot on the way home. On that way home we passed that house with that open window and 4 hot pies cooling on that ledge. You cooled them down. We were caught in a moment. I didn't know if it was legal or not. We just seized that opportunity. We had a cheeky little nibble, didn't we? Didn't we? Bag of wind, you are my only friend, my bag of wind. Hand, my bag of wind. Dominic Harris-Chuka coming up to the stage. Where are you, Tom?
Thanks, JP. Right, so what I've done now is I've written some jokes, and what I need from you is, if at any point you feel compelled to laugh at them, please don't. And if you're wondering why, it's quite hard to get going in comedy. I reckon I'm filming this. It's got a much better chance of going viral if I just tag it as comedian dies on stage. And that seems counterintuitive, just bear in mind that Natasha Bedingfield's two most famous songs are about her inability to write songs. And for me, it's that postmodern sensibility that really sets her apart as the superior Bedingfield. I've tried to help by doing quite bad jokes, but they do follow the form and structure of a joke. So you'll think, oh, he thinks that a punchline out of some sort of Pavlovian response or sympathy, you might feel tempted to laugh. So just resist that. And then just to add to it, I have to say like 3 jokes if someone could just like audibly sigh, just like. Then, you know, after a couple more, if someone just kind of mutters, Jesus Christ, something like that. Don't go over the top, not like Edward Woodward in The Wicker Man. Don't go like, oh, Jesus Christ! That'd be too much. And then after a couple more, just, you know, go for it. You can just start heckling. And if you want some pointers, I am ginger. That's a common one. Also bald, which I hoped would some way cancel the gingerness out, but it doesn't work like that. And if you want to go down the celebrity route, Vincent van Gogh or Henry VIII, there are a couple that people like to go for. So yeah, here we go. What do you get if you cross a 14th century collection of Italian short stories and a variety of track and field events? That's right, Giovanni Boccaccio's The Decathlon. No, just try. What do you get if you cross a Native American with the 5th book of the Old Testament? Deuteronomy! Thank you. What do you get if you cross a Geordie with a drinking problem and a variety of track and field events? Anton Decathlon. Thank you. Spelling's important. I recently left the E off the end of an order for a new 3-piece bathroom suite, but at least now I can dress up all fancy when I go for a shit. During my time as a nun, I experimented with artificial headwear, but in the end I returned to my natural habitat. Measure twice, cut once. Good advice for joiners, but also the rules of my game, which is called Whoever's is shortest gets circumcised. Measure twice, cut once. I've got a new one here. Did you hear about the Italian journalist who wrote about Dutch cheese and British World War II pilots? He said, I've got some good news and some bad news. I went to a restaurant recently that was staffed entirely by insects. The food was good, but I got arrested for fly tipping. I don't know if that would be a criminal or civil offence subject only to a fine rather than custodial sentence. I haven't done the necessary research for that joke. I'm currently on a horse food diet. I see biscuit, I eat it. And I went for a burrito for lunch today. The guacamole was free, but lettuce was £1 extra. Now, the reason you haven't laughed at that joke is that was a topical joke I wrote in February 2017 when we were in the midst of a nationwide shortage of lettuce. I don't know if you remember, in Spain there was a cold snap which destroyed a lot of the iceberg lettuce crop. And to be fair, people didn't laugh at the time either, but I think that's because it was too soon to be laughing about such a serious subject. I can see some of you very young looking, you probably don't even remember what it was like in early 2017. You're like, come on Grandad, tell us about the olden days. So, alright, I will. Yeah, it's tough times, hard days. You'd go to the supermarket, sometimes, you know, they'd be limited to 3 iceberg lettuces per customer. Which, you know, if you were making a very large salad, probably not enough. Sometimes you couldn't even get an iceberg lettuce, you'd have to get your second choice lettuce or romaine lettuce. Sometimes you have to get your third choice lettuce, cos, can you imagine? Sometimes you couldn't even get a cos lettuce, right? And you'd have to make a rocket salad, and even if it didn't really suit the meal you had planned. Tough times. It was like the war, but if the Germans had just stopped lettuce getting in. People forget, like, we got through it though, don't we? Spirit of the Blitz and everything. And then sometimes it was really tough, right? And you'd end up having to get your lettuce off a street dealer, just like a bag of shredded lettuce, and I swear half the time it was just cabbage, to be honest. We were cutting that shit. But yeah, I do like Mexican food. Because I like it because it's pretty much the only type of cuisine where you go to the restaurant and you get given a hat which stereotypes the people of that country. Like, I've never been to a French restaurant and been given a beret to wear, or like gone to a Texas style barbecue and been given the ceremonial hood of a Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan to wear for the bounce. And I think the reason they do that at Mexican restaurants, give you the sombreros to wear, is to distract you from the fact that if you pay too much attention, you'd realise that pretty much everything on the menu is the same 5 ingredients, just folded into slightly different shapes. It's a big con. The French are at it as well. They've only got one type of bread, 3 different lengths. Big baguette, demi baguette, petit pain, which is what they do in the discotheques. Yeah, that's about it for this bit. Please welcome back John Paul McQue.
Try to make some sense of it all. My nana didn't really die earlier today. It was earlier last week. She was always quite religious. I consider myself religious, but couldn't really grasp what was going on. I wanted answers, so I went to the good book, the Bible, searching for answers. I've never actually read the Bible myself. We've got any fans of the Bible in tonight? No, good. From what I can tell, it's organised into, well, I've tried to simplify it with these post-it notes. It's separated into 4 separate parts. We've got pink here for fashion, we've got orange for food, and yellow for true life stories, and green, we've just got some general hints and tips. Have we got any fashion fans in tonight? Doesn't look like it, no. Cool. Right, fashion. Where should we start? Leviticus, Old Testament. Old Testament? Anyone? No? Good, okay. Right, Old Testament. Do not wear clothing woven of 2 kinds of material. This is the word of God. We're definitely putting that in. Yeah, no to the polymix. Old Testament, right? For anyone who doesn't know, the Old Testament's like a draft copy of the Bible, work in progress, but they chose to include it anyway. Good work. Deuteronomy, still Old Testament. Need Deuteronomy fans in? No? Okay. Sure. We have do not wear clothes of wool and linen woven together. Again, a little bit more specific there. Did we not cover it before? Be more specific. They need to know. Never the twine shall mix. It's going in. Important. Are we putting all this in? The word of God. It is my word, and you will write it as so. Ezekiel does a great bread recipe. If anyone's interested, any bread fans in? No? Ezekiel 44:17. When they enter the gates of the inner court, they are to wear linen clothes. They must not wear any woolen garments whilst ministering at the... So, it's been a little bit too difficult to grab hold of the note of the polymix, so we're simplifying, just stick to linen, guys. It's creating too much havoc. Stick to linen. We're all right with that? Yeah. Stick to linen. This is... Exactly. We found a polymix wearer in the audience. Thank you very much. May you be smited. Linen only. Just get up, get changed in there, and we'll sort you a t-shirt out or something. A linen t-shirt. Matthew 9:16. No one sews a patch of unshrunk cloth on an old garment, for the patch will pull away from the garment, making the tear worse. This is God, creator of heaven, the earth, thoughts, ideas, pigs, kittens. And this is the word to guide us, the most important things. Don't sew the patch. Are we putting that in? Yes, they must know about the patch thing. And it goes, well done, Matthew. Certainly earning your keep. Mark 3:11. No one sews a patch of unshrunk cloth on an old garment, otherwise a new piece will pull away from the old, making the tear worse. 2 times. There's lots of things that are very controversial in here that are mentioned once, but this is 2. Has anybody done this on an unshrunken cloth to... No, good job. Well, you're still here, aren't you? Otherwise you'd be... Up you go. Luke. Trusty old Luke. Is this Luke's word? No, yeah. Luke 6:36. He told them this parable. No one tears a piece of a new garment to patch an old one, otherwise they'll have torn the new garment, and the patch from the new will not match the old. 3 times. True life stories. I like a bit of true life stories. Lot and his daughters. One day, the elder daughter said to the younger, our father is old, and there's no man round here to give us children, as is the custom all around. Let's get him drunk. Huh? Get father to drink wine and let's sleep with him. Preserve our family through our father. Preserve our family line through our father. Like we do all across the land. We get our dad drunk, and we father his mother, his father his... What? What? Revelations. The thought crossed my mind that an all-powerful being, creator of everything, the heavens, the earth, whether it exists or it doesn't, existence itself, empowers all this knowledge into one human being, and out it comes in some sort of form, whether it be a holy book or whether it's some sort of action for good or just to spread messages. So thoughts from an all-powerful being just being transferred into written words. There's so many different compartments in here. I should have... In Tesco's, in the magazine section, Revelation, I saw it all. It's all there. Fashion, food, general hints and tips, true life stories. I've had a nervous breakdown. All because I discovered his swinger's secret. He killed my boy and didn't remember doing it. Pregnant, but her son was the dad. Not particularly uncommon. Fashion. No one shall sew a patch of unshrunk cloth on an old garment, otherwise the new piece will pull away from the old, making the tear worse. Come on, Dom. Sort this out. Domino.
Yeah.
What time are we on?
Time now. We're good.
We're good?
Yeah.
We've got minutes?
Yeah, you got plenty of time.
Oh, it's plenty of time? Time for a poem?
Yeah.
Short poem?
Yeah.
Okay, how much exactly?
Depends how short the poem is.
Depends how long the time is. Well, it was 10 minutes? 5?
5?
5? I'll do a 5-minute poem. A short poem. Yesterday, 9:15 AM. Thoughts that appeared as if by magic. A small dog with glowing green eyes turning somersaults in a dirty basket on the stone floor of an indoor market. £4.99. 8 bears. Half a dozen pale blue eggs. Any misbegotten ape. Lozenges. A vintage Ghostbusters lunchbox at the bottom of a mill pond and the pike that lives inside of it. A baby that came out all gold and angry. A water slide covered in mushrooms. The black dot. A Trans-Pennine Express train, but all made of pink satin. The sound of a marching band in the distance. Anything kept in a shoebox that isn't a shoe. A toy dog so big it blocks the whole aisle of the supermarket. Videos of nanas falling in and out of pedalers. That which has 1,000 sons, 1,000 daughters, but not a single child. A boarding school where all the teachers are animal schools on ribbon sticks and the only pupil is a 36-year-old woman with a bad attitude. Talking to yourself in Greg's. A deer sat on a baby swing in a frosty playground. 4 men carrying a sheet. 14 approaches to supermarket shopping. No mope. Crabs that are not sad. Night nodes. Dark lanes full of roaring. Giant birds in formal wear and smaller, more casual birds. Hollyoaks. Can't stop thinking about hollyoaks. Treacle as a concept. Yesterday, 10:15 a.m. Things that I wrote because I felt obliged. A bourbon biscuit after an aborted dunk. The intertestamental period. Elvis's wooden heart. Formal trousers and Tupperware. Boston. Lincolnshire's answer to New York. A red velvet bag containing broken safety glass. A smug whale. Liking the smell of VHS tapes. Magic arseholes. Cooling pies with flying kites. Nest Cafe. Mellow birds. Henco. Magpie House. Dowie egg birds. The curse of the missing things. The Black Knight satellite. French Polynesia. Driving 3.5 hours to Salford to sing an ode to my bag of wind. Talking to Voltaire through my car stereo. Matriarchal swans. Eating marshmallows on a horse. The handsome weeping boys of Japan. Clarice Starling. The freedom to use butter. Treating objects as women. The search for Britain's only native species of cicadia. The mechanism of spontaneous broken symmetry. Angelico on a BMX. Yesterday, 11:23 a.m. Delicately balanced counter-argument. A complicated cipher constructed from Jackie Collins's Poor Little Bitch Girl. Spaghetti hoops with a silver apostle spoon. Richard Chase's bucket. The God helmet. The lifestyle and fashions of small girls who live in the forest. Gold top milk mixed with honey and turmeric. 7 sacks for 7 sisters. Meditation to the retization of constellations. Sopping wet velvet. Mothcraft. An infestation of horses. Vague memories of a blue jewel. A gravy-stained spotter's guide to the birds of the British Isles. Steaming red socks. Something moving beneath a pile of blankets. And a haunted mouth. Minor non-conformities. Wycliffe Jean's cleft palate surgery. Jesus Christ and his pet bee. Being haunted by a ghost that lives in your colon. Black or tanned. The man who mistook his wife for a kettle. Jewels, money, women, wine in Bognor Regis. The Akashic records located within the casual plains of Trecruti. Bungle cunt. Counting shells and goalbox conjecture. When wind talks and other signs of sentience. Lady Di laid an egg. Lids used as cups in a world of giants. starting fires for attention, wearing homemade murder medals. The spider and the octopus, Shed 7, built 7 sheds. Yesterday, 6:29 p.m, after 8s, a transcendental bomber jacket, mistaking burnt sausages for very short, deadly snakes. Ergot poisoning from Cheerios, whispers in a gruff voice, the tone that insinuates. A sweater shop crop top, pissing on balloons, the deceit of spiders. Honey poured over ambergris, garnished with a frozen grape. Chesney Hawkes crying on his Sylvanian family cottage.
I'm not the one and only. This isn't the cottage I asked for. It's not even a cottage. I can't believe you've done this to us, man. All I wanted was the cottage, and you've got me the bloody house, and it hasn't even got any bloody doors in it. I haven't even got all the people inside and the fucking bed on and the furniture. Why? I only asked for one thing, and you couldn't even do that, right? I fucking hate you, man. Fucking, I've had enough. Just can't take it anymore.
A snake called Lolita, blood on a green towel. Donald Sutherland screaming into an eye patch. Drinking Fanta in a beetle. Ronaldo Rump. The tree ball mint that nearly killed me. Letters written to trains. Bullet ant trousers and ballet claws.
Quick quiz question for you. Does anyone know how many ounces there are in a kilo? That's alright, just means routing drug dealers in. If there's two things I learned from listening to hip hop, it's one, there's apparently 36 ounces to a kilo, and two, drug dealers are quite happy to mix the metric and imperial measurement systems. Which seems quite odd, particularly in America, where they treat the metric system with a certain degree of suspicion, for it is both European in origin and entirely logical in nature. But when you think about it, it kind of makes sense. They're buying it in bulk from the Ecuadorian wholesalers, that bit's going to be in kilos, but then the retail arm of the operation dealing on the street of the US, that's going to be in pounds and ounces. And as I say, it's like it appears quite a lot in rap lyrics, so most Def in his song Mathematics, he says 16 ounces to a pound, another 20 to a key, 36 ounces to a kilo. And it's nice that he's trying to improve the numeracy skills of America's drug dealers. But what I found when I googled it is that there are in fact 35.274 ounces to a kilo. Not 36, which, you know, it doesn't sound like a lot, but that's a 2% write-off before you factor in any other wastages. You know, it's, but you try explaining that to a drug lord at your next monthly board meeting. I've tried, but they're not interested in hiring external consultants. It's a tough industry to crack into, that one. But yeah, Kinder eggs. I quite like Kinder eggs, but I had to start boycotting them recently. I don't know if you noticed. They started doing girl Kinder eggs and boy Kinder eggs, pink and blue ones. As a staunch feminist, I wasn't going to stand for that, because I'm boycotting those. You know, it's not right. You know, there's some guys out there that just say they're feminists, you know, to try and get sex with ladies. Not me, I'm on the front lines, engaging in real action in the hope women will have sex with me, but it's not been very successful, but it is slightly morally superior. But yeah, I was quite upset because I had really fond memories of Kinder eggs, you know, just carefully taking the foil off, pulling apart the chocolate and then separating the plastic capsule. As you'll see, I've mimed a complete separation of the shell there, which was the norm until around 2004 when they added the off-centre hinge. Don't know if you remember, probably for health and safety reasons. But I was quite upset. I had fond memories of that completely separated shell. You could use it as like a makeshift coffin to bury wasps in your back garden. We didn't have the internet. It was either that or licking a 9-volt battery. I think I once licked a 9-volt battery so much that my ears crackled every time I swallowed, which is the closest I've ever come to overdosing on a legal high. But I grew to like the interlocking, the hinged shells, because you could interlock them, and when you did enough, you could form like a crude mayoral chain and declare yourself mayor of Kindertown. And usually at this point I would produce it as a prop, but I left it at home. But yeah, I thought, oh, you know, now I'm mayor of Kindertown, I'll get cracking. Started off with a bin, sorting the bins out, you know. Did a bi-weekly collection, not fortnightly like you're thinking, twice a week. How are people going to pay for that? I employed my gran as economics advisor, and she said, just print more money, it's fine. So that was sorted, but then I also got some other advisors in to help. A shark that plays tennis, that was his only discernible skill, and Shrek. And then we got tackling the main policy in Kindertown that needed sorted, which was housing, chronic lack of housing. And Shrek said he had some mates he knew in the industry. I was like, oh, they're not cowboys, are they? And he said, oh no, they're three little pigs. Which seemed like a good idea, but as most people know, only 1 in 3 pigs possesses the necessary construction skills to build homes that can withstand the exhalations of a hungry wolf. So on the first windy day in Kindertown, 2/3 of the residents were made homeless. Everyone in Strawville and Stickton. Thousands died. That was my political career in ruins. Yeah, be careful if you ever enter local politics. It's a minefield. Give us a cheer if you like football.
Yeah.
Give us a cheer if you don't like football.
Yeah.
That's the kind of reaction I expected from this room on a Sunday night. I quite like football, but there's lots of reasons to not like it. But then what you hear quite often is, oh, it's just 22 people chasing the ball around the field, which is not an inaccurate description. But I think everything sounds pretty shit if you're that reductive in describing it. It's like, oh, what do you like films for? It's just pictures of people pretending, projected at 24 frames per second to give the illusion of movement. It's shit. But whether you like football or not, you're probably familiar with the highlight show Match of the Day. And you probably know the theme tune to the highlight show Match of the Day. And you could join in with the theme tune to the highlight show Match of the Day. Etc. Right, but what fewer people remember is that between the 2001-2002 series and the 2003-2004 season, the BBC actually lost the rights to broadcast the Premier League highlights. It was instead a TV show on ITV, presented by Des Lynam. And the theme, you all remember the theme tune to that, don't we? No, it was actually It's a Beautiful Day by U2. It's like, it's a beautiful day. Dun, dun, dun. And as I say, this show was broadcast from the 2001-2002 season, so August 2001 all the way to May 2004. And there's only one occasion on which that song wasn't played. Des Lynam came on, no music, and he said, today we've not played our usual music. Today is not a beautiful day. The Queen Mother has died. Because what could be more tragic than an incredibly privileged woman dying peacefully in her sleep at the age of 101? Yeah, sometimes people don't laugh at that, and I don't know what they're thinking. Oh yeah, but if she'd lived to 117, last year she could have gone to a royal wedding she probably wouldn't have approved of. But then I got thinking, August 2001, May 2004, the only time they didn't play that song, which means, according to Des Lynam, the death of the Queen Mother officially more tragic than 9/11. Not me that says that. That wasn't my editorial decision. You could argue 9/11 happened midweek. By the Saturday broadcast, the tragedy had sufficiently diminished to be below the threshold for not playing that song. But it seems to me he's hiding something. He's overcompensating, right? Secretly, Des must have been happy that the Queen Mother had died, wanted to over-egg it a bit, and the only conclusion I could come to is Des Lynam killed the Queen Mother. Stay with me on this, alright? Okay. Thinking, how do you know? That's a hell of a stretch. What's his motive? Well, he worked as a sports broadcaster at the BBC. Who else worked as a sports broadcaster at the BBC? That's right, David Icke, right? Well-known conspiracy theorist. He would have explained to Des, the Queen Mother's not what you think, she's a 12-foot lizard, alright? We need to do something about it, okay? Right, so there we go. That's how he would have found out about it. That's how he got involved. But what proof have you got? Right. But what do we know about conspiracy theories? Right, if you go to elaborate lengths to cover it up, you've got to leave clues, because otherwise it's not fair on me. Right? And also, Des Lynam presented Countdown. All right, so how's this for a conundrum? If you take the name Des Lynam, right, and rearrange those letters, you don't get a lot, admittedly, right? But if you take the name Desmond Michael Horatio de Quincy Lynam, yeah, and rearrange those letters, what you get is Queen Mother is dead, Monica Limo. So yeah, there's some letters left over. Okay, I haven't thought it through entirely, but some people will go, well, they're not his real middle names, right? Or she abdicated the throne before he was born, so it doesn't make chronological sense. But that just screams to me establishment cover-up, conspiracy confirmed. All right, I think that's about it. Thank you very much. Des Lynam killed the Queen Mother. That's it. Thank you. Thanks for coming.